Good afternoon. My name is Chris Hutchings. I work for Business Development for Gallup Incorporated. I'm joined by my friend and learned colleague, Steve Asler, who's going to give you a demonstration of SEER for software. This is going to start off as a generic demonstration. And as we go along, please don't hesitate to ask questions, change the direction, and so on and so forth as you see fit. And for the record, just to let you know that this is being recorded. I'll put myself on mute. Thank you for your time and your presence.
Okay. So my name is Steve Aslar. I'm part of the product development team at Gallup, and I'll be showing you the SEER for software application. And let's just get right into it. And if I'm pronouncing that right, hopefully, just go ahead like Chris said. Okay, great. I'll maybe after the first overview part of it, if there's something that catches your eye or you'd like to have more information, just let me know.
Sure.
Okay, so what we have, I'm sharing my screen, and hopefully it looks, it's readable, and you're able to follow along. If you need me to increase the font size, no problem, I could do that. Okay. What I have here is one of our projects. There's one of the projects that we have, one of our sample projects that's shipped with the application, and it's usually best to jump right into this so that way you get a feel for the look and feel of the application. And what we have, the main one, when you're describing and creating your estimate, is to build your work breakdown structure, and that's what we have here on the upper left. It could be a simple, high-level estimate with one element, and you maybe at the very beginning of conceptual ideas, or it can go all the way to a very detailed breakdown where you have breakdown of components, breakdown of all the COTS products and the different applications. It could even be, because of the hierarchy that you can do with roll-ups, you could make it into the different stages of the estimation. If you have your early stage, then your detailed one, then an even further breakdown, or even with the approval one. So you have a lot of flexibility when it comes to building your work breakdown structure. The blue item is the main estimation element in SEER for software, and that's the application or the program, depending on your terminology, but that's the application estimate element type. And so that's the work breakdown structure, and depending on the element type that you have selected, to the right you have your inputs. So these are what are familiar with those data sheets that you had mentioned. We have traditional sizing. You have your sizing inputs, your traditional lines of code, functions, but you also have parameters that describe the complexity of the people, process, tools, the product itself, maybe some constraints, if there's staffing constraints, schedule constraints. We have also inputs for applying your labor rates, who's doing the work, that's different types of allocation. And I'll be going into this further, but just to give you a layout, idea of the layout. Okay. So we have the parameters to the right. And then, so the inputs are at the upper half, and then on the lower half, you have your outputs. So what we have here is the quick estimate, our main report, which gives you summaries. What is the total effort for development? What is the total duration, schedule, cost? Same with maintenance, and kind of gives you an idea of the size, what's your staffing. So we have different reports. And then to the right, bottom right, we have our charts. So the graphical display of those reports. What is the allocation according to the different activities, or maybe your SDLC? What's the people, the risk involved, staffing plans. So that's where you'll find the chart area. So it always is important to know it depends on what element you have selected in the work breakdown structure, and that's the current estimate for that particular element. And then if we were to go up higher and starting to look at roll-ups and the cumulative value estimate of all the subordinates below, then that would be represented. But we have to go higher and select the top level element to do that. Okay, so that was a quick overview of the display. When you are creating your estimate, the key is to insert an element into your work breakdown structure. And SEER, what we are known for is our knowledge bases. So if you are able to describe what you are building based on these selections that you see in these pick lists going from down, top to bottom, Okay, what's the platform? What will it run on? Is it a business? Is it going to be a business? Is it going to be a client server? Is it a mobile? Even space. So if you're able to select that, that's already a big part of setting those defaults of the parameters. And then we go to the application, the biggest one in the list, the most choices, because we kind of want to narrow it down. What is it going to do, right? And then the acquisition method is, where is the size coming from? Is it going to be completely new? Probably not. Maybe there might be some reuse involved or some legacy code, maybe even perhaps some off the shelf. Okay, so that's the acquisition method. The development method, that is how will it be built? Is it an agile development? Is it traditional waterfall, maybe a kind of a hybrid? So this is the development method. This is the knowledge base for selecting that. And then development standard, what is the quality and the test trigger, right? So if you can find the closest one that matches from that list, then what happens?
Chief, can I?
Oh, sure.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question? Which version of the SEER SAM is this one you're using it?
Which version? This is SEER SAM version 8.137. It's the current release. The current release.
Okay.
And also not just versions, also we're going to show you in terms of additions, we're going to show you all of the capabilities within SEER. So SEER has different additions, but we're going to show you all of the capability, okay?
Good. Because the reason for the question is our customer is going to use the 8137, so we want to be in line with it.
Sure, okay.
Okay, absolutely. Yes, this is SEER SAM 8.137, what you're seeing. So if you are able to, let me go ahead and say there's going to be a little bit of a mix. Let's say integrate or average modification. Okay, so let's say we're building, we're going to put it, it's a ground-based mission critical, it's a command control type of application, a little bit of modification, it's maybe a waterfall type of life cycle development, and it's going, we're just going to follow this standard. So what happens is, if you're able to make these selections, it's going, and I click OK, it's going to insert it into the work breakdown structure. And at this point, if you look at the estimate, it's 0. There is no estimate yet because we needed the notion of some sort of size. That's the only thing that's missing, because those knowledge-based selections have set the defaults for all those, the people, process, parameter values. So you don't have to go in and go into all the individual parameters like analyst capabilities and programmer capabilities and tool use. That is being set by those knowledge bases. So we just need a notion of size. And for what are the data sheets? What are the type of sizes that are typically for your projects? Are they in lines? Are they in some sort of units? Are they in functions? Unadjusted function-based sizing? What's the typical size?
You're asking me a question?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, that was to you, Lex.
Okay. So yeah, ours is basically based on the lines of code, SLOC. Okay. Not based on function inputs.
Okay.
Yeah, that's lines of code.
We could go, sure, we could just, let's just do that straightforward. Let's say there is a lines of code. Now with SEER, we incorporate this least likely most input. So that way we're able to generate and take into account risk and where you want to see, you know, maybe you're going to estimate at one level, bid at another, or plan for another, you know, accounting for. So we have this notion of least likely most, simple, doesn't have to be even, but you can put it in and see, as soon as I put in this notion of size, I did that really fast, but every parameter has help, by the way, and you can make a note based on your assumptions, or you can put a link to a document, just something that shows you why you're entering this value. So once we have a notion of size, now our reports and our charts, we have an initial estimate. So all we did was make those knowledge-based selections and put in some size, and now I can see that this estimate is going to be around 35,000 hours, and it's going to take almost 2 years, a little less than 24 months. And that's just from, without even fine-tuning those individual parameters. But that is the industry standard based on the knowledge-based selection.
Okay.
And that's the kind of idea of SEER. We look at it as the individual element. We see the total. Maybe now we can look at, okay, what is the activity breakdown? What is, you know, I see the total, but what does it look like? You know, how much of it do I need requirements? Is requirements a part of it? Do I want to look at it at the individual activity levels like this? Or do I want to maybe see it by the people who is doing the work and seeing how that aligns? So once we are able to, yeah.
Can you expand that window?
Oh, sure.
And what is this guy is going to talk? Oh, there's the 60 hours of project management for system requirement design.
That's correct. And this is the nature. That's how you read it exactly. So the first thing we do is get the total. Then we break down by activity. So then we go into how much of it is the core development activities, how much of it is the requirements, and then in the beginning and in the back end system integration. And then we break it down by the actual labor category buckets. So then, but you were reading it right, yes. So 60 program management hours are going into that.
So all the information is built based on the prehistory database you have somewhere.
Yes, the knowledge bases are setting those standards. Well, specifically, if you do,
I know that is only the inputs. Yeah, these are the inputs. You use these inputs, and there is a history of projects, how it is executed, what is the time frame has been executed, and everything. Then you're mapping that one and bringing it in right here.
Yeah, that's part of the calibration process where we create the knowledge bases. We take in the history of completed projects, and that's how we're able to create the knowledge bases. But from the user perspective, once you collect your history of projects and your estimates, you can create your own knowledge bases so that way your estimates become more predictable and consistent because it's based on.
Yeah, in fact, that was my question. So right now it is using some knowledge base by defaulted. So if I have in a project already executed under SEER and I have the real values in it, can we update as the project is going on, and at the end of the project we have the history created for that project?
Yes, part of the life cycle, that's the ideal situation where you are able to create your SEER estimates, the actual estimates, track, get that baseline, track against that estimate, and then collect the actuals, preferably maybe at the activity level, so you have the hours, the estimate versus the actual. When you have that data, we have the other applications that help with that process, so that way it can go into a historical database, so that way all your completed projects are in one area, and then you do the calibration process. And in the end, what happens is you can load your own knowledge base. That's what the class 1 is designated for. That's one way of taking advantage of your historical info. But we also have what we call, and now sorry, yes?
Can you show me that one again, the class 1?
Oh, sure. The class knowledge base is the one designated for typically the custom knowledge bases, the ones that you have created. It's going to have your calibration factors. It's going to have your input settings. That is the one designated for you, so that way when you load it, it's going to be loaded last, and it's going to be based on your settings.
Oh, okay, got
it. It's a placeholder. It's just a placeholder. It's just another slot. But the other useful one, and it ties into what you're saying, is from the estimate menu. We have analogy-based estimating and analogy-based sizing. So this is where you can actually go to the your historical database area and retrieve specific projects, and you can grab size, you can grab the actual estimate, and what happens is when you retrieve it, you're going to see let's imagine these are your completed projects, and you can say, yes, this one that I'm going to be estimating is very similar to this project that I completed last year or 6 months ago. I want to use that type of size. Maybe it's similar to multiple of these, and then you want to take a median or an average, some sort of statistical input for that. So this is another way of using your historical data to help with your current estimate that you're working on. So you can grab the size based on completed projects. So it's all available. Once you complete the cycle and you get it into the historical database, then it becomes readable from SEER SEM, and then you can take advantage of that.
Okay, that's pretty good. Can you show it to me how to create it also, one of the knowledge base? Because if we buy this tool, we would like to know, we load another 5 projects we already executed into this tool.
Sure. When you're doing knowledge bases, that's definitely an advanced feature. Not advanced in that it's hard. It's more like you have your estimators who are in charge of creating the estimate, and then you have your subject matter experts, your SEER experts, the team that is in charge of managing the data and updating that data. So that's a task that would be on there. What it is, a knowledge base is simply a project file, an empty project file. So if I were to do a file new, and this is a new knowledge base. Okay. What it is all my parameter settings will be zeros and blank. So it's completely wiped out. So the process of creating a knowledge base is you're actually setting these values. Actually, the best way of creating knowledge bases is to find a similar one of our sample set, and then you edit it, modify it. So if there is an application knowledge base that you want to, that's similar, but you want to maybe put a name to it or a customized one, open that knowledge base, edit it, and then save it as a new one. That's typically what's involved. But this is the exercise of actually doing it, where you're actually going in. Maybe you want to set knowledge bases for the probability, the confidence level. What is your risk? The standard one is 50%. Maybe you want it to be higher, 70%, a little bit more conservative. So you can set that. Maybe even labor rates, if you had labor rates that you wanted to save, and so that way they would always be loaded from a pick list instead of having to always paste that in. You could save that as a knowledge base. The knowledge base is open to any of the parameters. It's really designed for any of the parameters.
Okay.
Okay, let me go back to the project because it's nicer to see the information. Okay, let's see. Now, okay. So what we did is we looked at the individual, we've been looking at the individual element. So with this element 1.1, let's say, but these other elements in the work breakdown structure, 1.2, 1.3, they have their own set of knowledge base selections, and they have their own parameter settings. So they are in itself. So when you look at the quick estimate, that is for that element. And then when we go up to the top level, the program level, or the project level, or the program level, then we can start to see the total, and then we can actually look at different reports to see what the breakdown is. But that's why it's important to know that you can do a lot of different estimates within the same work breakdown structure. Okay. Some of the key reports. So I touched on the risk, the least likely most entry for our size, and let's go back to the parameters. So we were talking about the data sheets and the type of information that comes in. Probably there's going to be some notion of what is the capabilities and experience of the analyst and the programmers. So when you see low, now, high in the application, there's actually there's a help and a context associated with that. So you know what the knowledge base setting is, and then there's guidance for the kid. And then if I do the more help, it gives you even more, this is the analyst capabilities, but you have to think about it as a team, emphasizing, the least experience, taking that into account, as well as questions to think about. So that way, when you're answering and making these settings, it's appropriate. So that's available for all those parameters, what we call choice parameters, so low, nom, high parameters. Okay. So I'll just scroll through the list, and then we can kind of see the organization. So they are categorized. So this one is personnel capabilities and experience. Then we're talking about a development support environment for the next grouping. We have our product development requirements. We're actually looking at the documentation and the test level, quality assurance. So that's definitely going to have an impact. That's usually set by the development standards knowledge base. We have the development environment parameters, target environment parameters to see if it's different from the development environment. And then for the considerations and the constraints, so you are able to put in different types of constraints. There could be a schedule constraint, There could be staffing constraints. So there are parameters for inputting those, so that way we'll adjust the estimate accordingly.
Oh,
we have yeah, so what I could do, I could show you. So we have our staffing plan. This is the ideal, this is just the staffing plan for this type of estimate, and this would be and this is a minimum time. So this is the minimum time solution. We get it sooner, it might cost more, but this is the fastest it can be done based on the parameters that we have set. But if you know you have staffing constraints, you can apply those, and then we can see, actually that's a good exercise. Let me just do a quick arrange all.
Yes.
So part of the big things about SEER is you are able to do trade-offs and what ifs. That's one of the main features. So you can see right here in the quick estimate, this estimate is going to take 25 months, 47,000 hours. If I go ahead and set a reference, that's from the estimate menu. I'm going to set a reference. What it's going to do is create this reference column in the quick estimate. It's a snapshot of the estimate based on the inputs I have now. But let's say we have a staffing constraint. We are limited. So if I look in this right here in the staffing plan chart, I can see it's around 20. Oh, say that again, Lex?
Sorry for that. Let's start the time and end the time. Let's fix the end time and then play with the staff members. Am I right?
Sure. Well, in SEER, we have a notion of a start date. You tell it when to start. We're going to give you the estimate for the duration. So you can control the end or the start.
Okay, got it.
You don't do both. You do the start or the end, but it doesn't squeeze that way. So
that's fine.
Start in August. Yes. Okay. So let's say we are limited halfway through the 25 months. You know, we do not have available to have all 19 of the ideal. You know, maybe we're only limited to 16 or something like that.
What is it? Can you repeat it? Can you explain it to me? What does that mean?
Oh, I was just putting in a staffing constraint. I was just saying that in month 12, the amount of staff that I have available is 16. So that was just designated by the availability and the projects. It's just a hypothetical. So just I wanted to show you. Yeah.
The answer came as 19 earlier. Okay, you dropped down to 16. Okay.
Oh yes. The 19 was kind of the max, and then I'm saying I don't have that luxury of those 3 extra people. So if I look at the quick estimate now, I can see that because of the staffing constraint imposed, the schedule, you know, is not too much of a schedule slip, but it's 4% cheaper, and then my defects went down. So there are you can do little things like this doing what ifs. It doesn't have to be staffing. It could be any of the parameters. If you wanted to increase the size, what would happen if you were to add functionality? Oh, okay, well, that's going to definitely, size being the biggest driver, it's going to impact the schedule and the effort and the cost. So this is the idea of doing those what ifs. The staffing parameters were just one example. And then if you needed to, you could just right click, I want to revert back to my reference. That was just an exercise. Okay, let's start again from the beginning, and then let's look at maybe another what if, something that you could do.
Okay.
So definitely lots of control with the parameters and doing your actual analysis once the estimate, you're comfortable with that estimate and you're looking to fine tune it, and then things like that scheduling, right? Is this a project we want to continue going forward based on the estimate? Maybe we need to consider another one. When can we do it? Lots of those type of questions.
Okay, good.
Okay, and back to so we have our schedule parameters. We have our confidence. Those are the risks that I was mentioning. Then we have requirements and system integration. SEER will always estimate the core development activities, your preliminary design through the program test. And then you can also specify if you need that upfront system requirements, activities, as well as the back-end integration, if it's going to be integrating with other software, other hardware. Those are the parameters that you would set to specify that. And then we have the parameters for the labor rates. These are set by the knowledge base. The ones that you see are typically, we have big groupings based on manned, unmanned, ground, commercial, basically, and then you'll get these labor rates.
Okay.
And then maintenance is estimated separately. So development, you say how big something is, you describe it, SEER is going to estimate it. For the maintenance, you specify how many years of that maintenance, and SEER will tell you what is the cost to do that, the effort and the cost to do that. So instead of estimating how long, you tell it.
So I have a question here. The years of maintenance, we have to feed in, or it is output? It's based on the how length is the project and how many lines of the code, and it can produce how many years of maintenance is generally required, or how many maintenance bugs.
Well, that's the thing. So in SEER, because it's an input, you're going to tell, it's based on the development, the project that you estimated. So you have your development, and there's going to be defects. And then the report that you say, let's see, where's my maintenance report? Maintenance report. Okay. So when you say how many years, it's going to tell you how much of it is corrective, how much of that effort is on the corrective side, key bug fixes, how much of it is the adaptive, perfected, and then how much of it is new development, the new features. So you actually have to specify how long, how many years you're going to be looking into that, because it's going to be estimated separately. That maintenance model is separate from the development.
And the question is, you have a definitions for every one of these parameters, am I right? Somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Like effort.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the detailed reference is, we have a user guide, and then that's kind of the quick overview, and then there's the detailed reference PDF, which is basically every parameter, all the charts reports, but in a doc format instead of looking at it in the individual dialogue.
Okay. Okay.
So that's the maintenance parameters, and then that pretty much covers the full list. The other tabs are for function-based sizing, which is not really applicable to you, but this is where you would enter size. It is a notion of screens, reports, input, output. Depending on if that's how you enter your size, then that would be the parameters, that you would enter for those. Part of the feature that
is like in a COCOMA, like if you don't want to give an S-lock, and if you want to give an based on inputs, these are the another way of getting the your charts, am I right?
Yes, yes. There's a notion of effort or size based on a notion of the complexity of a screen or a report or an output. Yeah. So this is your way of doing that. It's already built in. It's pretty much standards for those. So yes, that's another way of accumulating, getting that size in without specifying SLOC as the individual account.
Yeah.
One of the features of SEER that in the addition is this notion of the project monitor and control, earned value management, but then earned value combined with the parametric. So we are able to track, you're able to, if you have this baseline, you are able to track progress within the same applications within SEER. So that way, when I look at the report, let me just get to the PMC report, I can see that, you know, my baseline, it's gonna take 25, but so far I have, if I look down here, I've spent 22,000, I've earned 24, but you know, I plan. So it tells you up to date, you know, based on your snapshots, where you are and where you're going to be based on your current performance. So this is the addition. This is the part of it, the earned value, the parametric project.
So can I put you in a simple words here? So if you have a Microsoft project, it will track you the project plan as how we are going in a time format, but this will give you a more in terms of what phase is taking how much time and how many hours and more detail. Am I right?
Yeah, in a roundabout way, yes, because in SEER will give you the estimate, which will ideally lay out in Microsoft Project. Now that you have the the activities and the resources defined in, we have that in SEER, we know how much of it is requirements and stuff, the different activities, then we lay it out. We have an integration directly into Microsoft Project, so it'll lay it out according to your resources and your project plan. If you track inside Project, then you, we just have to collect totals at this point. But yes, we have a natural integration into Microsoft Project. It's Microsoft Project integration for SEER SEM in this case. What you would do is you load a file. I would load this Watcher project, and you would just specify your typical project plan with your resources and your activities. Or you could use one of our standard ones, and then you have your project plan generated within seconds because it's going to do all that automated. And then from there, it's up to you if you want to. Yeah, it's a separate one, but it'll lay it out according to the plan that you have selected.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so that was a quick overview of the PMC, the other part of one of the additions where you want to track your history, track your projects, and look at it and manage them. The other tab is for the labor category allocation. We kind of touched on this. How much of the effort goes into, for each resource goes into the activity, and that is directly from the parameter, these parameters, and these are set by the knowledge bases, and if you wanted to customize them, you can do that. You can just change it and say, 12%, really it's just more of a 5% manager across the board. Okay, you just have to reallocate that effort somewhere else.
Okay.
For the project parameters, these activities and these labor categories, if it's easier to understand them in your own terminology, perhaps you have your own naming scheme, you can create your own and apply different names to them. So that way, when we're talking preliminary design, if it's known, maybe design an interface or something else, it's just a project parameter option that you could apply to the project. And if you needed to make it a default for all projects, you could do that too.
So can you show it to me again? What was that?
Sure. So we have our standard set of activities, development activities. But if you wanted to apply a different name, right. Here's the standards on the first column, and then you can rename it on the right.
Okay, got it.
And you could do that as well for the labor categories.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see. And let's see. Part of the
I have one.
Well, for okay, go ahead.
One more question. In this project plan you just developed here, did we give the number of the staff members? You only tell us
yeah,
sure. Months only, but we didn't play with that, it looks like.
So part of the SEER estimate is actually, it comes up with the staffing plan, and you can see it's by month. The effort month is the key in SEER.
Okay.
So that way, it'll tell you, this is a detailed staffing profile report, and it'll tell you the resources that match the staffing plan that you see. So you can actually look at it in the breakdown by the actual people.
Okay. So it is only telling 0.1, 0.4 in the sense. So for example, in line month 23, if you look at 1.6, what is that, man months, hours of project management?
Oh, yeah, this is actually, yeah, right. These are people actually. This is staff. Yeah, if I wanted to look at, I should have opened this one instead, the hours by month. So the hours by month will tell us, okay, this is the actual amount of hours.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Per month. And the basic assumption is in the project parameters, we have a notion of productive hours per month. So this is the default is 152, and then it just uses that to backfire to calculate the FTEs basically.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So these all the parameters will be going to change if you select a different language of operations. Like right now, I don't know what was been the type of project you used. If you use an embedded project, does these parameters automatically change?
Yes, that's a good point. So what I could do is let me set a reference, and I'll kind of show you what's going on. So if you set a reference.
Let's put it and say like if it is an embedded project, if I write in C++, this is the numbers. Sure. If I write C, how much numbers I see.
Let's do that first. Let's do the program language first, because that one you can, we're going from, so this is one, the assumption for this one was in C.
Okay.
And we have our list of, we call it functional implementation mechanisms because it covers more than just languages. But if we were to do C++, okay, remember I set my reference, so we're going to see the impact. So going from C to C++, it's going to say, okay, I know you're changing the language. Do you want to adjust your count, the slot count, because of that? And that's up to you to do that. And you want to say, well, yes, it's going to take that much more. And what we can see is, okay, we have, before we were at 25 months and 47,000 hours. Now it's going to take 27 months and 59,000 hours. So there's the difference.
Oh, they will tell you the difference and everything. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yes. You can model it. You can have a separate element if it's easier. If you want to look at it two different ones to do your comparisons, or you can do all within the same element. But you can do these type of trade-offs, like you just mentioned. We just have to find the right parameter. You could do it at the parameter level, like this, where we're actually just changing the language, or you can do it at the knowledge base level, which is pretty common too. So if I know, okay, this is an average modification, what happens if it became a major modification, or, oh, sorry, I didn't do that. Or, we are, it's a embedded application. What if we were to change it to more of just a general command control or something like that? You could do trade-offs at the knowledge base level or the parameter.
Can you hold for a second there? Can you hold for a second before you go on there? Can you go to the, what is it? Electronic data interchange and, embedded electronics appliances?
Oh, well, yeah, what I would do is get into the help. That's probably the best thing to do. It's part of the same detailed reference as the parameter. Let me just scroll down there so you can read it. Okay, here we go.
Okay. Okay, so we can go and refer back and everything and see. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So do you have, for language, do you have anything is written for an FPGA, like VHDL, Prolog, or Verilog, or anything like that?
Oh, well, actually, Kristen talked about this. We have a part of it. What we realize is not everything can be captured in the SEER for software. So that's why we have SEER for hardware, which has element types that are for FPGA.
But you also write software for FPGA.
Yeah,
we don't.
Absolutely,
okay.
Absolutely. So what happens is it can be a combination. And we actually have this well documented of how to estimate which piece in which application, because it's not going to be all the hardware and it's not going to be all in SEER for software. So that is documented. I don't have that here ready to demonstrate, but we'll make a note of that, and that way you'll have that information.
I looked at your, what is it called, your website, and got some information about that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And just to jump in there, VHDL is fine in terms of it's a driver, but the reason why the SEER for hardware IC solution exists, which is a completely different tool, is because we, after a significant amount of study, we determined that, things like die size and logic gates and things like that were actually the drivers towards the cost for many of the applications in terms of FPGAs, ASICs, RFICs, and the like. So, whilst VHDL can be modeled, it shouldn't be done in isolation, and due consideration needs to be given to those technical performance parameters which are actually driving the costs when you're looking at those kind of ICs.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Let's see. Just lost my train. Oh, and So that is part of the what if, doing the trade-off with the parameters and the knowledge bases. If you are, you've been away from the application for a while and you're ready to jump back in, a lot of times we'll use this project assistant from the toolbar, and this is more of your wizard. If you like using the wizard and the guided approach, then you can use this project assistant. So that way you don't have to, because it can be intimidating. There are a lot of parameters, a lot of knowledge bases, but if we break it down here, then we can, it's going to give you the guidance, kind of a guided experience of creating things and describing things, and it gives you help along the way. So that's always a nice thing to have. So you can always just build your estimates.
Yeah, got it. It is visible. Okay.
Yeah, same thing in the end, but different experience, and it helps with the reminder of kind of the way to think about which are the critical stuff, which is not so important.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Okay.
So once it generates all these charts and everything, is great, but it does generates any report for the like a CEO dashboard, CTO dashboard, like for the upper management to see how the projects are been executing and how the projects are been delaying or anything like that.
Yeah, the amount of the reports that you see are the ones in this list where they are tied to the estimate and the breakdown by month, by year, by labor category and such. What is lacking in the application is that type of that executive level reporting. But based on my experience, the users have gotten around it because of our way of getting data in and out of the application. We have a notion of flexible export where you can use automation or server mode to pull out the key pieces of data. Anything that any input or any output that you see can be exported in a custom format. Or when you're saving these projects to the database at the enterprise level, because you're able to save projects as individual files or in a SQL Server database, then once those projects are in the database, then you can create your own custom reports and based on queries. And so a lot of times they'll create these will help create the queries to support these dashboard reports. So that way, when they need to generate a report, it could be a stored procedure or it could be just on a request, and then they get all the projects that are in progress in the database based on such criteria, and they can do an assessment from there. So a lot of that reporting is post-process outside of the application, but we have, because we're able to get data in and out and we have the database, we're able to support, for the most part, the information that they need.
Okay. But asking the same question again in different format. So do you have any other reports generation? Like, do you generate any other reports?
Well, the reports, it kind of ties into the flexible export. So when you, flexible export is our mechanism of getting data out. So you can say, I need all the activity hours development for all the elements in the project, and then if I export it to the clipboard, then what happens is, let me put that. Then we have data that we can get out of SEER now. So now we're in a position. This is just a simple example of all the activity effort for all the elements in this project, but we can customize what we need to come out, and then we can put it in a custom report that could be printed. We can put them into Excel, so that way it's linked to a format. A lot of times what will happen is you paste into Excel, and then everything's formatted already to read in this data to produce this type of chart or this type of report. So that way it could be printed. So it's because the data comes out in tabs delimited or however delimited you want, we can get it into a format that can be printed or copied or PDF. We could help with that process.
Okay.
And then, or you could just copy and paste directly from the report, or you can print using our printing. But most of the time, what I see is, you can just, because it can be copied directly to the clipboard, and you can just kind of paste. It's already ready to go. So you could do it that way as well.
Okay. So can you show me how you can what is called, you export it to the project, Microsoft project, and see how it comes up?
Let me see if I have. Let me just make sure I have that. I know I have it. Yes. Okay. That one, unfortunately, I'm on my home machine, and that one I don't have Microsoft Project, but I can show you the project plan that gets generated. Let me do that for you. What it is basically is Microsoft Project. We have we install the application inside of Microsoft Project, so that way there's a SEER toolbar, and one of the format is you select. You launch the application from within Microsoft Project, and you select the project you want to import, select the resource, and then let me take a screenshot real quick of that. Okay. Okay, so it'd be something like this. Okay. Okay, let me copy that. Okay, let's see if I can get this. Okay, so it would be, in the end, it would kind of come up where you have your project. I had to take a screenshot from my development machine, but you would do an import. Actually, I could actually do a screenshot right here, another one. But it would lay it out in this way, where you have the activities and the resources. Not really a good demonstration, actually, but let me do it this way. Okay. Do it like this. Okay, so this is what it looks like inside Microsoft Project if you were to launch it.
Okay.
Specify the name, the type of knowledge bases, and the resource plan, basically. And then
you're doing this because you don't have Microsoft Project installed in the computer?
Yes. Yes. On the machine I'm demoing on, I don't have Microsoft Project installed.
Okay.
I have it on my development machine in the office, which I run all my battery tests on. But for demos, I use this machine for performance and screen size.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so let's see. It's 5 till 3. Is there? Let's see. Any more areas that you would like me to cover? I guess one area I forgot to show you is the metrics, which is part of the additions. So you mentioned your historical data. A natural question is, where does my current estimate fit against that historical data? Well, that enters SEER metric. So you can actually see this little red triangle. That is where my current estimate is compared to the projects based on the criteria that I selected. Now, this one is not a really good filter because it's all the projects, basically hours versus size. But if I wanted to narrow it down to, let's say, embedded, all the embedded applications, or if I wanted to do it by size, then that's the thing. That's what you would do. So this is another part. This is part of the addition that you maybe would want to take advantage of to see that historical. Let's see if we have.
Okay.
Okay, we have elements in there. So now that I'm filtering on database applications, electronic data interchange, embedded electronics, I can see where my current estimate is compared to those. So that's another way of using your history of projects and actuals to help you with your estimates moving forward.
So this is great, but can we pull our current estimation into somewhere into the median line, and we can tell what parameters I have leveraged to adjust it?
Oh, say that again?
For example, this red triangular is where right now the current project is. As you see, it is outside of the scope of most of the projects. It doesn't lie in, is like outlier, that one, almost little bit of it. Am I right?
A little bit. This one is not really good. Yeah.
But that's not the problem I'm trying to discuss about this. The problem is, I see this is my project. In my, for example, when I create my own project, it could be completely outlier on this data. So my question is, I want to bring down that outlier somewhere into this where the majority of group of projects are. Then this tool can tell, yeah, you want to bring here. These are the factors you have leveraged. So where I am basically where I'm deviating from the history of projects.
Sure, it's not a direct. This is why you're not in there. But what it does is it gives you a mechanism, and it gives you insight of where it would be. Right now, we're displaying effort hours versus size. So naturally, we would look at the size first and see, are our size assumptions correct? Is there a reason why we're outside? Are we doing more than the previous projects, or is it more complex? Is it just bigger? So it gives us a way to see how to impact. So if it's outside the outlier there, if we were to reduce the amount of size back to where it was, so I'm just going to lower it. Okay, and then let's see where we are now. Okay, we're getting closer. I'm just going to set it to 10,000 across, just so that way it goes significantly lower, the effective size. And then now we can see, okay, it's getting closer to, it's just closer to one standard deviation from the project. So it gives us insight of what to look for, not directly telling us what to do, but we know based on parameters, the size parameters, as well as there's a very popular top 10 effort impacts chart, which tells us which parameters have the biggest impact on the estimate. Right now, spec level, test level, the amount that development standard is those are key parameters. Those are contributing to why the estimate is higher, why it is what it is. So this gives us also another way of looking at what parameters to focus on to see why it's the biggest drivers. I think that covers a lot of what SEER 7 is all about, and the additions, what's included in the different applications that are a part of the suite.
Okay. You said it's 2 more items you want to cover.
I don't remember saying that. What?
But that's fine.
I think I covered. Okay.
Okay. If you don't have anything, I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
That Excel sheets of data sheets, which initial to this call we were discussing about it. How does that fit in? Is only to keep as a record, and then you have to manually enter in all these parameters, like the functional specifications, like you just showed it to me, like all the complex attributes been grouped into personal, time, and the code size kind of thing, or does this tool directly can take that Excel sheets and produce it? All the information we just talked about it.
If the information is formatted correctly, then SEER will be able to take it in easily and very fast. The key is we have to get the right mapping, making sure it's mapped to the right parameters and it's mapped to the right name. And we have tools in the tools folder that help do that. So I'm going to open up the SEER 7 input worksheet, which is basically similar to what you're referencing. It's an Excel base where you say you can make those same parameter assumptions, describe the platform, the knowledge bases, but it's giving you in a guided form to say, okay, these are the key ones. But if you just want to bring in those complexity you want to bring in size, you want to bring in individual parameters. This is the format that SEER wants. So if you were to just copy this to the clipboard in this format after putting your values, that is exactly how SEER wants it. So that way you can just paste it in. So that's typically how it works. There's always an input worksheet, whether you give it to the engineers or you give it to the estimators. If you need to get that key piece of info, it's just a matter of converting it into this basically a tab delimited format of you have parameter name in the first, then you have the value least likely most.
Let me ask a direct question. So you have a parametric estimating handbook with you for any reason? It is there. We can download from your website directly.
I don't have it on this. I don't have it.
So I don't know whether can you share my computer? Is it possible?
Oh yeah,
probably.
I could do that. Sure.
Okay.
Okay, you are now the presenter.
Okay. Can you look at my computer right now?
It's still you have to do a share from the menu.
Change. Where is that?
Back in the WebEx. Back in the WebEx UI, the share menu next to File and Edit. Then there's Share, and then you could do My Screen. Then you could pick the monitor.
No. Can you tell me where that is?
So back in the WebEx application itself.
Yes, I'm back to that.
Oh, okay. Then at the top, Share, the menu at the menu bar.
Share. Yeah, Share is there. My Screen.
My Screen. There you go. Okay.
Yeah, you are able to see it. So this is the I'm talking about. In fact, this is basically, let me show it to you guys. So this is called Parametric Estimating Handbook, which is directly downloaded from your website. And I will go directly to the page 186 or further up. Here it is. So this is called Software Data Sheet, Size Data Examples of it. It is from your. This particular customer, we are working in a project. They asked us to fill all these parameters. Okay. And to run the same, most likely they're going to run the same CSM software 8137. Of course, we would like to run the same thing here and see how is our project is executing. So these are the parameters. See, these are all the complexity attributes you talked about and when you are creating a project. So those are the organizational interfaces, schedule, and all those things. We can fill all those things. Similar to, this is another one, like cost and cost estimation and everything. Okay. Of course, the rest of the things they talk about each one what it is, and the scaling. Let me go a little further. Sorry for going a little faster, but the scaling for one of the CAs there, it has from 0 to 10 scale, and these are the values we're filling it out. The question to you is a direct question to you: is your tool directly going to take these Excel sheets and going to generate a report?
Unless they're formatted already in a way for SEER to accept it, meaning in that server mode tab delimited format, it's not going to be a direct. The values and the parameters there's a mapping. Most likely someone's already established that, but it can't just go directly into SEER because it needs a specific format to create the element, apply the setting, and then create the estimate.
Even then, it is not directly because it is a scale to 1 to 10, and you have like low, very low, high, very high, and like a scale of 5.
Oh, right. That's the mapping step. I'm forgetting to say is that the 4, we would find what the equivalent low, nom, high setting is in SEER in order to get that, because it needs to map into the SEER values.
Okay. But where does this complexity attributes guidelines came for you? Is it that something you guys created it, or something you like inherited from some other organization?
I would have to. I think we'd have to get back to you on that one, because the parametric estimating handbook, I believe our president Darren Gallarath had a part in the document, in the writing of it, but I'm not sure what part came from us, our contribution, and where all these tables and information came from. That I would have to follow up on that one.
Yeah, so you can take as an action item then, and see maybe something. There is a tool or scripts or something which will take these Excel sheets and creates or something like that. If this Excel sheets and these guidelines has been there, that means it is for some purpose of it. I'm not getting that. How is that purpose is directly linked with your tool?
Sure, we'll take that as an action item. There's this process is very it's for our consultants and our services. This is part of what they do is they take these input sheets in the different formats and they put it into a way to be brought into SEER, not only from an automated perspective, but just even to bring it into that way you're getting a SEER estimate based on these data sheets. So it's probably part of the typical process of the quick start and getting the data into SEER, understanding it.
Okay. So shall I give back the control back, or you can take it right away?
Let's see. Let me see if I can get it back. I think you might have to hand it back since I'm not the host, so you'll have to back in there. Oh, there you go. Okay. Okay. So let's see. Was there anything else in the SEER application that you wanted to see? The thing is, we are new. We never did in a formal way of doing in a cost estimation. We always do based on our history and a little bit of our experience, based on experience. Okay, so we never did in a formal way of using this tool. So we are new to this one. We are trying to adopt the methodology, and then we thought that this tool will be best fit for us to executing our projects, to first initially estimate it, then track it, then use that new information as a history for the next project to estimation. So initially we may be off, but over the time, based on our history, probably it will adapt it to our company and style and company way of working. So that's where we are here right now. Let me see. Yeah, that's helpful to us. That's helpful because it helps the approach. Because if you're not familiar with parametric estimation in general, or how kind of the basis of how SEER came to be, then that's important to know before jumping into the application itself, because we have to get the idea of creating estimates at this level understood by all, so that way we know this is the right application for you. So that's good to know. That's established.
Thank you. So that's where we are here. So we have a couple of the attributes has already been placed for us right now, but it's not in the Excel sheet format as I discussed it. I would like to apply this one to see what kind of information we can get from here. So that's what the question for maybe the product manager. So,
yeah, that would be, yeah, I'll leave that to Chris and to you, but the idea, if you can simplify it into one application, one of the data sheets, and not look at the whole project, but look at those high level, maybe use the SEER knowledge bases to describe it first, and then look at the estimate first, see how it is, and then if you need to go into the specific parameters touching on the experience level and such, then you can actually see how it's impacted in SEER. I think that will prove to be a little bit more successful. You'll see right away how it can be. If we keep it at that level, I think that first step won't be as intimidating, and yet it'll be okay. But otherwise, it might be a lot to expect it to go from the data sheet directly into SEER without that kind of iterative process, and you doing a little bit of it as well.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, so Lax, do you have any other questions for us at this time?
What is that?
Do you have any further questions for us at this time?
The only question I have here is going from now, as I mentioned a couple of times, that I would like to have some hands-on experience before we go and do any kind of acquiring this tool.
Sure.
So what is the best way to do?
Well, my preferred route is that I provide you with this video and you actually show it to the other people that were going to attend, and then basically, tell me this is something of interest to you. I provided you with the pricing material so that you can, I provide you with an understanding of what the cost is. I'll actually provide you with the formal pricing material. That aligned with the video that we've taken of this will allow you to at least determine if your general requirements are met, and also whether your affordability expectations have been met. If that's the case, then we can then go ahead and discuss options for evaluating the tool. So how, there are a number of ways of getting your hands on the tool to evaluate it accordingly. But what I'd like to do is have an understanding of, your likelihood to proceed, and so on and so forth before we do that. So what I propose is I'm going to send you this video, allow you to have internal discussions, send you the pricing mechanism, allow you to have internal discussions about that, and then invite you to get back to me such that if you want to move forward, we can actually do that on a planned basis. How does that sound?
That sounds pretty good. So, but let me answer a couple of your questions because we have you asked the budgetary things, whether we are in these price ranges within our budget to buy it or not, and we are. Budget is not an issue here for the price what you put it on, and if it is definitely it is helpful, this is a tool what we wanted, there is no question of budget here. Okay. And I can present it to the Senior Vice President of Engineering to this one. I will take his inputs also. Yeah. But as per my knowledge and what I went through here, it looks like more in line with what we wanted.
Good. Okay.
So always he can override my decisions or anything like that, but that's what I'm thinking as in a first shot.
Okay. Good.
So if that is given, if everything goes in the direction what we wanted to go, so can you speak it out first two options you have in how I can play with this tool?
Yeah. Yes. So you want me to talk about that now?
Yeah. Why not?
Okay. So first of all, do you have any more technical questions? Because I'd like to let Steve go if possible.
I do not have any technical questions.
Okay. In that case, Steve, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Steve.
Oh, you're welcome. Bye, Lax. Okay.
Okay. Bye.
So there are really two avenues. There are actually three avenues, I suppose, for evaluating the tool. So let's talk about those. And there's two different constraints, and then there's a option in the middle which people tend to go for. So the first option is that we do have some customers who will evaluate the tool from a trained perspective. So we have training courses, which you can take, and we have a number of people who are currently evaluating our tool because they've come and done a training course at our facility, or we've done a training course at their facility, depending on which option is better cost effective for them. Okay, so that's one extreme. The other extreme is that we give you the tool and that's it. So we give you 30-day license of the tool and you play with the tool. So, and then there's an option in between. So basically, getting trained in the tool is probably overkill for what you want. Me just giving you the tool and having you evaluate the tool, we hate that idea. Okay. And the reason, well, no, let me be frank. Okay.
You're honest. Let's keep going.
And it's not because we're not making any revenue. We hate this because what happens is we give you the tool, and then you're going to come back with question after question after question after question after question after question. Okay. So because basically what we're saying is here's the ignition key to a Cessna 150 aircraft. Go ahead and fly it. Okay. And you say, yeah, but I don't have a pilot's license. So, you know, it's a waste of everybody's time. Okay. We hate it. We will do it. Okay. You know, if you come back to me and say, you know what, Chris, I don't want to pay for anything, just give me the tool, then we'll do it. But it's a horrible way of evaluating the tool.
Okay.
The one in the middle is basically what's known as a quick start assessment. So basically a quick start assessment is that I send a member of my team to sit with your team for a couple of days. You pay for his time. You pay for his time. We give you free licensing for not only that period, but also a period after for evaluation. But basically what he's going to do is he's going to make sure that the tool is set up appropriately for you. He's actually going to work with you on the typical estimates that you would carry out under that setup, such that you actually move forward for an evaluation from a position of strength. So that's our preferred mechanism. You know, we don't make any money on that. We just basically cover our overhead on that. But it allows you to have the license plus a moderate amount of training plus free technical support.
Okay, that sounds good. So basically, we need to pay his
day rate. His day rate plus expenses. His day rate plus expenses. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's fine. So what is generally, how many days is generally you send it to the other companies? Like,
well, it depends what you want to do. So unfortunately, you've asked a how long's a piece of string question. So you know, typically we look at 2, maybe 3 projects, and so he's going to teach you how to do things, and then you're going to do live projects, so live estimates. So 2, maybe 3. So it's going to take 2, maybe 3 days for you to be, for you to do these live projects, which is going to fill you with confidence, but also allow you to train in the tool based on estimates that you understand. Now, this is not a replacement for formal training, but it's a way for you to evaluate from a position of strength. So 2, possibly 3 days of his time plus the general expenses.
Okay. What you said is time plus expenses, am I right?
Plus expenses, yeah. So you're basically going to get somebody in from our El Segundo office. They're going to travel to you. They're going to stay in a hotel. Those kind of expenses plus their day rate.
The day rate?
Yeah.
Okay. So what you're looking at this point in ballpark?
Well, it depends on how many projects you want to do. So let me. Why don't I put together some alternative numbers for you?
Sure, definitely. That will work. So let's wait for your email. Then I will go and take this one to my manager to discuss about it.
Sure. Okay. I'll do that this evening.
Okay. So the one more question I have.
Sure.
It's not a technical question. So it is a product management question. So, who are your customers at this point? How many customers do you have?
We have hundreds of customers, thousands of users across a broad spectrum of organizations. So you can look at the majority are aerospace and defense, but but we also have commercial, banking, financial, insurance, and so on and so forth. So all of the household names that you would expect.
Okay.
Okay, and I can be a lot less elusive than that in the fact that I can actually send you a slide which actually details some of our customers. Some of our customers don't actually like us to talk about them.
I completely understand it because we are in the same we are in the same situation as you. So we have our customer base. When we want to sell it to the different guys, We will tell them sometimes, we will not tell them sometimes. It depends on situation to situation. So that's why if you can give me the information, if you can put it all together as basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take your information, I'm going to present to my management.
Sure.
And basically I'm going to do your job. Of course, I have to sell it to my management. So if you can, as much as information you can plug it in, is helpful for me and helpful for them to make a decision.
Okay, so that leads me to a question: why can't I do my job?
What is that?
Why can't I do my job? So it's a strange, it's a strange situation where you're selling it on my behalf.
Yeah, I would like you to present it. There's no doubt about it. But the question here is, I need to find their timing. I need to see the time. You may not get that one.
Okay. Good.
So as like today. So today we couldn't make. I couldn't pull them into this meeting. So because they have a lot of other projects.
I understand people are busy. That's why I recorded it, and I'll send you as soon as I get the recording. I'll send it to you, which will be today or tomorrow.
Yeah, more than what they want to know, I want to know, because I'm the primary guy who can suggest this tool. So,
yeah.
Okay. I hope I answered that question to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else I can do for you?
That's it. So I will wait for your email then.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you some costed options for evaluation. I'm going to give you a list of our customers, and I'm going to give you this video.
That's fine.
Perfect.
That's
okay.
Okay. Nice talking to you.
You have my email address. If there's anything else you need, please don't hesitate to let me know.
I think yes, I do.
Perfect. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.